Us now, Shuvaloy Majumdar, who is an analyst with the Macdonald-Laurier Institute. You've been to India quite recently, Shuv. I know you're an expert in this area. Is Prime Minister Trudeau getting snubbed, or is the international media blowing this out of proportion?
Well, no, I think the international media are onto something. In New Delhi, there are suspicions about what Ottawa is up to. On one side, domestically, they are looking at the political leadership of this country as catering to constituencies of extremists, whether they're Khalistani on one side or political Islam on the other. And on the other side, geopolitically, there are concerns in New Delhi about Ottawa's predisposition towards Beijing. And so I think that there are some wrinkles that need to be ironed out with respect to the leadership, even if the countries bilaterally, commercially, and culturally are even more intertwined than they have been before.
You know, when we talk about this Khalistani separatism, to take a step back and kind of break it down, this is an issue that there are some people who want to form their own country, and the allegation is that the Trudeau government and that some of his cabinet ministers, including Defence Minister Harjit Sajjan, are supporters of this. Is there any truth to that, do you think?
You know, I look to people who are experts about the politics of British Columbia or politics in the Sikh community. I think of former Premier, former Liberal Cabinet Minister Ujjal Dosanjh as a real authority on this, a dear friend and a great mind, a courageous individual, as somebody who has stood against Khalistani secession in the past and paid a price in terms of violence on his own person on this. There is an element of truth that Navdeep Bains in the Greater Toronto area and Harjit Sajjan in the Greater Vancouver area have had some links to Khalistani movement mosques, or I should say gurdwaras, Sikh places of worship. And there's an oxygen to the legitimization of Khalistan, which is creeping increasingly into our national debate. Now that you have two major political parties at the federal level that pander to these constituencies. And so it is a certainly highly motivated, highly organized constituency, but I should say that the vast majority of Indo-Canadian Sikhs, or generally Indo-Canadians at large, reject the notion of Khalistan and want to live in a society of peace and freedom like any other.
I should add that certainly the defense minister has rejected any association, says that that is untrue. He has asked for this meeting, which it looks like, at least now, the Canadian government is going to get. Do you think that they can take steps forward to try to repair some of what's there in this meeting? And do you think there's any chance that Sajjan himself gets into it? The Prime Minister wouldn't confirm he's going, which seems a little odd if he actually is going to have the minister there.
Well, you know, it's India, so I'd be careful to speculate about who would attend a meeting with the Chief Minister of Punjab. But I would say that the Chief Minister of Punjab has been snubbed twice by the Government of Canada. The first was being disinvited from coming to Canada to engage the diaspora community on a range of issues, whether it's commercial or cultural or even religious to that point. And then on the other side, more recently, by not having been pursued a meeting as part of this visit, there have been two occasions in which the Chief Minister has been slighted. It's nice to see that a meeting will happen. I think Punjab is important to Canada on so many levels, as is Gujarat and the other places that the Prime Minister is visiting. But I won't speculate as to whether Harjit Sajjan, our Defence Minister, will make the meeting.
There was also a question from one of the Indian journalists who was present who asked about Punjab and said, look, everyone goes there for a photo op. Are you actually going to look at doing business there? I'd expand that larger question here. It seems like this visit is certainly, as you said, not without its wrinkles. What are they hoping to achieve by going to India?
You know, this is an opportunity for Canada in terms of looking at an incredible economy that has been pursuing massive macroeconomic reforms under Narendra Modi. It's an economy that is formalized through having a GST by digitizing its economy for the most poor. It has been able to establish a basis for investment that has seen Canadian institutional investment, pension fund investment, go from zero to close to $14 billion in the last years alone. So I think there's a lot that the government can accomplish in bolstering these trade ambitions that Canada has with India. And as security partners, this is a great dimension which Canada can shake off the baggage of the 80s and embrace India as a rising global leader in this region, a region that is informed not just by Beijing, but also by Moscow and a lot of other forces that are looking to upend the international order we've come to know.
We just have about 30 seconds left, but also want to talk to you a little bit about exports from Canada to India, potentially, things like agriculture. There's been some frustration from the Canadian dimension there, saying that they don't think that Justin Trudeau is pushing hard enough for that market access. You
know, you'd expect that the agricultural minister would have joined the Prime Minister on this delegation. I can't imagine as to why that has not happened. But I think that agricultural exports to India can be remarkably useful to that country and to the food security issues its people are facing. There's a lot of opportunity in the commodity space and energy as well. India is a growing economy with a growing middle class, which creates huge opportunities for Canada.
Any chance of a free trade agreement?
Not this time.
Okay. Shuv, thanks so much for being on the show.
Glad to be here.